Hey, surprise, surprise!
Hey!
Thank you so much, Zoe. Welcome everyone to the Overwatch League. I'm Vicky Kitty, and I'm joined with Necra. I'm cosplaying Jaws just for today, but today, Necra, we got two really good matches. It's the San Francisco Shock versus the Houston Outlaws to open things up.
Oh, I'm so excited about this match because I feel like we're getting the best of the best right now in the Overwatch League based off of last weekend, going head to head, especially when you look at the San Francisco Shock being completely undefeated in not just matches, but maps also. And then the Houston Outlaws, everybody's looking at them to do some big things this season, especially when they were able to upset the Dallas Fuel. But let's take a look at the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, we saw them roll out earlier with the Doomfist, but looking at the Shock, we see some familiar faces. Proper, Kilo, Kaluj, Finn, and Violet. Kaluj, a man of many identities, a.k.a. Cucumber, a.k.a. Booger Snot, a.k.a. Hegon. So, a man of many disguises, but one who was founding members of GOATS and probably one of the best tanks that we had in Contenders since we've seen this tank player really excel and shine in that Tier 2 space.
Well, not only that, though, but Vicky, Kaluj has really put a lot of those kind of expectations behind him as well in terms of being able to just go above and beyond what people were looking at, especially being the only tank player for the San Francisco Shock and having some big shoes to fill. I think people were a little bit worried, but after seeing the performance from last weekend, San Francisco Shock I don't think has any more doubters, but this is still going to be an incredibly tough litmus test for them because the Houston Outlaws, they're not here to play any games. Well, I mean, they're here to play Overwatch, but they're not going to play games when it comes to the comps that they play.
Yeah, they're here to play One Punch Man. With Dante being on the tank role here, he's been shining. Absolutely crazy to see how this DPS player has been able to shine after making the swap over to the Doomfist. Of course, as Doomfist is such a strong tank that we've seen so far in the Overwatch League. And to highlight the other players here, you see Merit, you see Pelican out here, you see Lastros and Iris. Now, Iris, not Iris, everybody remember that, but his sleep darts were absolutely insane in week number 1.
They really were, and I think that's something that a lot of people are taking note of, is that if you're going to have an Ana on your team, you're going to find so much value, especially if that Ana is really, really good. And so Iris absolutely fits that role. But taking a look across the board as well, we're getting ready for our very first map. We've got Kilo in for the San Francisco Shock, and Kilo doesn't usually see play unless they're expecting to be able to put a lot of emphasis on a Widowmaker pick for the team. Usually it's going to be Sam in one of those DPS slots, but Proper and Kilo, we're definitely expecting some big hit scan heavy DPS coming through for that team. But for Merit and Pelican, a lot of Echo could be played here. Pelican been very, very strong on that Echo pick, and also just the Houston Outlaws in general seem to be one of the top teams that is able to utilize that Echo pick and really find value from it. And as we head over to our first map of New Queen Street, ooh, yeah, we're about to get some spice here, Vicky.
I love how volatile Push is, which is why I actually am not surprised to see Kilo coming through. Like you mentioned, a strong hit scan player, gonna expect the Widow coming out. But as we get ready for Push, Push is usually that game mode. My favorite new game mode, by the way, that is so volatile. It makes me think that I've completely forgotten about how gruesome those 40-minute assault points have been. And now we have a different game mode, Robot 2, who I call Mr. Robot 2. He's kind of goes back and forth with some of these teams, and I'm excited to see how a lot of these teams have been able to capitalize off of the fast pace of Push as a new game mode.
Unless you're the Florida Mayhem, in which case you're able to do the entire thing. But let's take a look at the two compositions from the San Francisco Shock and the Houston Outlaws. Houston Outlaws playing what they know best, which is going to be that Dawn tank with the Doomfist, of course, and Pelican on the Echo. And as long as Mare and Pelican are able to find these angles and get those crossfires onto the San Francisco Shock, that can be a really, really big thing for them. But with Kilo and Proper being able to be self-sustainable, it might be tough to get these big picks on the Houston Outlaws unless Dante is really able to go in and make some big plays happen.
And we're gonna see Dante's already punching his way through. Gonna be able to clear some space as the bot is already moving along here. I like the way that Houston Outlaws have been able to stick to their guns with Pelican following up off of Dante, opening things up for themselves too, but with Kilo as well to match with Merit on the Soldier, you can already see them taking up to height, Necro.
And this is one of the best places for some of these fights to happen, especially if you are a Soldier 76. It's going to be tough for you to remove that Soldier from the high ground if the Soldier's just able to get set up there with that heal station, but huge first blood getting drawn here by the San Francisco Shock.
Love it here. You can see San Francisco Shock truly living up to their performance in last week. They're no frauds despite the two teams that they played against, and the Outlaws are really going to be able to match up the potential that the Shock have. Proper getting put to rest. Iris, though, gets antied himself. Iris gets taken out by Kilo here, and already the Shock have so much progress, already nearing up to that next checkpoint.
That checkpoint is absolutely huge because once you unlock that checkpoint, you also unlock close spawns. So it will be easier for the San Francisco Shock to continue to push that barricade forward. So they're getting very, very close to that. But we're starting to see some ultimates come online, and Proper might be able to really open things up with this Pulse Bomb, or Finn has that Nano available to really allow Kalush to get in there and get his hands dirty.
Yeah, we've seen Nano Visor before in the past here. Let's see what Kalush could do, though. As you mentioned, he's about to get the Primal soon, and Proper getting Merit already, and Dante getting antied means the space has been cleared up, and Shock, they'll lose out on Finn. Dante trying to give them a taste of their own medicine, and this is what I love to see here as the Shock now gonna have to look here. Pelican getting taken out by Kalush, and a nice little reset at the same time as Iris gets called off in the side room, and the Pulse Bomb is gonna take out Dante.
Oh, that looked to be almost detrimental for the San Francisco Shock. You saw the Nano Tactical Visor combination come out from Kilo and Finn and not find too much value, but Proper able to go in and be able to clean up the rest of that fight. Now San Francisco Shock have unlocked that very first checkpoint and are continuing to push towards that final destination. Houston Outlaws, though, they're coming back with a lot of bite. They've got 4 ultimates online, and Iris goes down.
Ooh, but the sound barrier couldn't help out Iris, but Lasher at least trying to sustain the rest of the Outlaws. Roberto doing his best. You can see him right there huffing and puffing, and as the actual San Francisco Shock are still finding Dante and Lastro. See, Merritt gets taken down. He has a visor, though, when he comes back. Maybe waiting out on Iris to actually get that nano boost.
That sound barrier looked late. Iris had already gone down. Lastro had hit the sound barrier, but who actually benefited from that? Houston Outlaws got taken down like dominoes. And now San Francisco Shock are continuing to really push the pressure here. We might see another completion of a push map, unless Merritt has something to say about this.
Everybody's funneled inside that room. Merritt wants to just say hi to everybody. Tries to be friendly, but is it going to be friendly for Proper? Health Pack isn't going to do anything, as he's not only going to take care of Merritt, but he's going to take care of Dante too. Proper now is going to try to isolate Lastro, who is in trouble. Kilo with the follow-up on the Soldier from afar. And now it's all San Francisco Shock space from here.
They don't have much farther to go, Vicky, and so I'm getting a little worried about the Houston Outlaws being able to dig in their heels to stop the completion of this barricade moving forward. They don't have any ultimates right now. They just have to get the Nano online, and Lastro's already down.
What are you running? Merritt gets taken down by the Pulse Bomb. Kilo, too, following up onto Lastro. That's 2 down off from the Outlaws. And the San Francisco Shock are still managing to push this bot forward. Look at this here, too. With the position that Kilo has, he's able to apply so much pressure from Outlaws who just want to poke their heads out of the spawn.
Ooh, Kilo goes down. Kalush also to follow that up. Houston Outlaws, they might be able to do this. They might be able to stop the barricade and continue to push it back.
See if they have the opportunity. We saw what happened when they were playing off of that little side room here too, but they could call off Finn right now. Dante already moving in. Finn understood the assignment there too, and even though you saw Proper trying to get a follow-up, Violet's gonna come back here, and Dante's having a blast. You talk about making the comeback, and that's what we're seeing so far.
Absolutely. I mean, Dante and just the Houston Outlaws in general finally got a chance to set up. And that's something that the Houston Outlaws are able to capitalize on so well. Pelican also has really been able to go toe-to-toe with Proper on that Tracer. And having that Pulse Bomb come online could be big.
Ooh, big anti though onto the back line of Shock, and Dante gets taken down immediately after he had some plans up his sleeve. Violet and Keel, Pelican gets the Pulse Bomb onto Finn, but he's absolutely outnumbered. It's the rest of the Outlaws that get wiped, and the Shock now turning things around back on the bot.
It's gonna start moving pretty quickly because San Francisco Shock have already covered that ground, but the Houston Outlaws still get a chance to come back and recontest. Lastro has the sound barrier. Maybe we'll get a chance to see that be a bunch of sustain for the Houston Outlaws, but also on top of that, if Merritt can get into a nice position to be able to use this tactical visor, there are a lot of great angles that you might be able to go surprise the San Francisco Shock with.
Oh, he's trying to surprise them with a pulse one maybe. He doesn't even have to use it right now. Pelican's already low. Kilo already found Lastro and Merritt. That's down to support, and you only really have Iris here, who's unfortunately just hanging out over to the side. The recall's being used up, but Proper knows which matchups to take or not. He's got the help of Kaluj in the back as the Shock still take another team fight.
A minute and a half remaining, and we're seeing another swap up here from the Houston Outlaws. Merritt now switching over to the Tracer, Pelican going back to the Echo. But this is kind of the last-ditch effort the Houston Outlaws have to stop this barricade from reaching that final checkpoint.
It's just been back and forth here, but with the attack visor online and Finn trying to isolate Dante. Now Kalush moves in and Lastro gets taken care of. Pelican having some assurance on Violet, but with Kilo looking up at the skies, he could immediately claim him here, just like you said, maybe a last-ditch effort here. But Outlaws are still trying to contend with Dante getting stuck though, too much damage as Proper takes him out.
Oh, and look at that. Houston Outlaws trying so hard to trickle in to stop the completion. But the San Francisco Shock, they've done it in a dominating performance on push, no less.
I love how volatile push is. I know I said it beforehand, but it goes by so quick, especially when you have some of those back and forth moments from the Shock and Houston Outlaws. But I feel like in this first map, you could already see how the San Francisco Shock is shaping up. Yeah, we saw them dominate and have an amazing performance in week number 1, but the way that Shock is continuously having this advantage over the likes of even the Houston Outlaws, I'm curious to see how our next map is going to look. That's going to be Circuit Royale. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Overwatch League.
doesn't strike twice, has never met the San Francisco shot.
Some of the most hardcore carry performances that I've ever seen.
Just a depth of talent on their roster that can't be denied.
I mean, what more can you ask from the Shock?
This is going to be a wild ride.
Violet is cracked. He's out of his mind. I say that justice. Okay.
At pace with everything right now.
Jesus Christ, dude. Sam is deadlifting right now, actually.
Finish is doing so much, cleans it up like DPS and Yada.
San Francisco has cemented themselves as the greatest team in Overwatch.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. Map number 1 is in the books. San Francisco Shock took it over the Houston Outlaws in a very volatile push map. Now we're going on to map number 2 with Circuit Royale coming in.
I'm so excited. We're not seeing too many substitutions here either, except for Piggy coming in for Dante. Very excited about that one, Vicky.
Yeah, that means we're going to get a little bit of a tank mix-up. And I like this decision from the Houston Outlaws because at the end of the day, they are facing off against the San Francisco Shock. We've highlighted them before. The desk has before as well. This is a very strong team, which is why they're leading the pack in North America. And you can imagine after week 1, a lot of these teams are looking at the Outlaws. They're looking at the Rain, and they're figuring out what to do against the Doomfist tank. So with Piggy coming into the tank mix-up, we can expect either Winston or D.Va to really shine through for the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, agreed. I would love to see some Piggy D.Va. That's what I'm here for. That's what I really want to see. But the other thing that I think we're going to end up getting a chance to see is a little bit more Kilo Widowmaker. I was missing that. I was craving that a little bit on that first push map, not gonna lie. But Kilo has definitely been serving us some great Widowmaker when we've seen some of the other series that he has been a part of for the San Francisco Shock during opening weekend. And if Piggy gets a chance to play the D.Va or the Winston even, or I'm gonna ignore that for now because I feel like that's bait. But if Piggy is able to play something a bit more mobile to be able to deal with Kilo on the Widowmaker, that could be really, really big here.
Please, I would love this. And you know what's crazy? Who would ever say a year ago, man, give me Orisa. I really want Orisa right now. And it's crazy because
the changes are so cool.
I love the changes, Necra. I absolutely love the Javelin. I feel like I am so disrespected when an Orisa just walks up slowly and then javelins my face. It's nobody's having fun. If I can't have fun, nobody's having fun. But let's see if the Outlaws actually do opt to roll out with this. Because Pelican being on the Bastion, another change up on the Bastion entirely
Doubtful.
would be cool. But no, Piggy is actually going over to the Sigma.
Wait a minute. No. Oh, no. Pelican. Is he giving it to them? Are we going to see the Bastion?
Nope.
Oh, my God. Bastion getting set up on a payload? What timeline is this?
The 10-second cooldown now that he's mobile as well. Unlimited ammo. Love the reworks that we see from Bastion. One of my favorite heroes that we got in Overwatch. But with Pelican rocking the Bastion, I feel like we didn't see a Bastion last week there. And I'm actually really excited to see what Pelican's got in store for us.
I cannot wait. I mean, look at how much San Francisco Shock has to reposture knowing that the Houston Outlaws have a Bastion. And the payload is just moving Pelican forward. Oh my gosh. The San Francisco Shock can't go anywhere.
They can't. They get rid of the Immortality Field, but they also get rid of Pelican, and in that, the Domino's fault. Iris also goes down, just leaving Lastro up for the sustainability. But he is able to retreat back with the rest of the Outlaws. They're going to give this corner over. Merit, though, finding Proper. Now giving some respect to the Shock, noting that Proper can't really apply that pressure up to the sidelines.
Yeah, Kilo's going to have to back off just a little bit here. And Proper also might not be able to find as many angles as you would like to on the Tracer, just because you do have that Brigitte that's going to be helping to protect this Bastion. And then also the deployable shield coming in from Piggy Sigma. But yeah,
Crazy.
Pelican right now, oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. It's also crazy to see that Mira could just cover him at the same time there too, but they have to worry about the Discord orbs onto Piggy, who took so much damage from Finn right there, and the Ant Matrix on top of that. So you know that the Shock are going to be able to move forward after putting in that pressure, and the Outlaws are going to respect that and wait on Piggy.
Yeah, you're going to have to wait for the Sigma, because you can't make any type of rotation if you don't have that tank and you don't have that shield available. San Francisco Shock, though, now that they've gotten a chance to get set up, Kilo has pretty free reign of getting some headshots whenever the Houston Outlaws decide to peek around that corner. And with these rotations that Kilo is making as well, knowing where those Venom mines are also being broken, it's going to be a pretty big deal to try to get some of those picks. But, oh man.
Oh, the Gravitic Flux. Everybody's having a party, but not Merit, though. He gets taken out by Proper, and that leaves Iris open there, too. He almost got the Transcendence, which would have been absolutely huge right there, but Proper has other plans. Now he's still racking up. He's about to get another Pulse Bomb on board here, too.
Proper getting another Pulse Bomb is just a nice reward for all of the DPS that Proper's been able to dish out during this round. Was a little tempted to see the Houston Outlaws get a chance to use the Bastion ultimate. However, the Genji choice and the Genji switch up is necessary. The Bastion unfortunately wasn't working, as fun as that hero is. But you've got to get in and get something done, and with only 50 seconds remaining, you're up against the clock right now to get a Blade online.
100% agreed right there, too, especially after losing out on last year. You won't even be able to rack up some of that ultimate charge that you need for the rally. Iris is going to be in some trouble here if he isn't so careful, but Proper is going to try to position himself over to the side. Try to see if they can call somebody out, but look at the way that Outlaws is playing this, almost splitting up between the high ground and low ground here.
Yeah, I like this approach. I really, really like this approach because it allows the Houston Outlaws to get a few more angles. But San Francisco Shock, they're not giving up an inch right now. And all the while, Piggy can start to move forward and use this Gravitic Flux, but it's got to be big here or the Houston Outlaws are going to get stopped.
Huge Immortality field to help out Kaluj right there from Violet, and now you have the Ant Matrix to buy in even more space. You're running out of time here, Outlaws. You want to try to contest, but you also don't want to get beamed down by the Ant Matrix. What do you do in this situation?
The top Transcendence.
The Transcendence from Iris now after Merrick gets taken out, but so does Pelican here. Iris though trying to fight for his life. Now the Immortality field coming in from last round to try to help reset, but the Outlaws are still falling here as Proper tries to take a little off angle. Iris is hugging the inside of this building, and it looks like the Outlaws may have been able to finally buy themselves time, even with overtime ticking away.
They have bought themselves 2.5 more minutes, and that might be what they need in order to push this payload all the way to the end. Pelican starting to get those blades online in Houston Outlaws, while they did struggle in that first point, are starting to get that ultimate rotation that you would expect to see come out from a team composition in Overwatch 2. That Transcendence, very, very necessary. Iris hit that right on the mark. And now, Lastro gets to dish back a little bit of San Francisco Shock's medicine right back at them with an Amplification Matrix.
You love it there, too. It's always better late than never here for that Transcendence. And as long as you stay alive, a nice Amp Matrix to contest the damage after that Gravitic Flux here. Kaluj now just trying to find himself around this corner. He's got the backup of Proper, who now has a Pulse Bomb, who now gets a stick onto Piggy. That's going to be a tank diff here, because now Piggy won't be able to utilize his Gravitic Flux.
I think this is just a big reset, and Houston Outlaws know that. They're going to go ahead and take the L, go back to spawn, and figure out how they want to continue to attack this point. Piggy does have the Gravitic Flux, and as long as they are able to get that Immortality field down from Violet, this could be exactly what they need. But there's another factor of this that might prove to be difficult for the Houston Outlaws, and that's Finn having the Transcendence online as well. So there's 2 fail-safes in place for the San Francisco Shock. It's a lot that the Houston Outlaws are going to have to get out of that team in order to really find value from the Gravitic Flux. It's tough for both teams when they have those kinds of tools available.
My eyes are on Pelican here. How is he going to try to contest the backline with the blade? He doesn't want to get he doesn't want to get discorded at the same time. He sees Finn, but the Immortality field has been called out. Pelican knows this, but the follow-up, he also took damage right there from Kilo. And Finn with the follow-up there on top of Violet is beautiful. They just negated the only potential chance that the Outlaws had to try to contest the backline and to force out the Transcendence there.
That's what the Houston Outlaws were hoping for. Maybe Pelican putting on enough pressure to force Finn to use the Transcendence, but now there's only 20 seconds left. San Francisco Shock held on to the Trance. They will have that available, plus a Gravitic Flux of their own, and Proper has been absolutely popping off with these Pulse Bombs. So this feels like it's going to be an explosive finish here for the San Francisco Shock to defend this point.
And look at the space that they have here, too. They have a bit of a high ground angle here, too, while meanwhile, the Outlaws need to climb from low to high ground. Finn now taking care of Piggy. That's not the first pick you want to see deleted from your team, with overtime ticking away. Do they have the opportunity to contest? Yes, Pelican does, and he's going to be able to dive in with the blade. He finds Kilo. The Transcendence now that we were talking about before, that was saved up by Finn, is going to help keep the rest of Shock alive. See Violet now getting taken out by the dash here. Pelican, though, tried his best, but it's not going to be enough. Finn is feeling himself. Look at him pop off. I love the raw emotions that we are seeing from the Shock right now.
Oh my god, I can't tell if Finn was happy. Because I feel like, yeah, it was like happy that he got the pick, but then he died because Piggy came back on the Diva. I don't know. There was some funny stuff going on there. Finn deserves the pop-off, though. That was absolutely a clutch moment, especially hitting that Transcendence to negate that Dragon Blade coming through from Pelican. It's still winnable, though. I have some hopium right now for the Houston Outlaws on their defensive run, where that payload did get about halfway. That's still a beatable distance here.
Yeah, it really trickles down to the fact that the Shock seem to have really figured out the trump card that the Outlaws had, and I'm not too sure. Oh, we are actually rolling out with this Piggy on the Reinhardt, Pelican on the Mei. We are changing things up. Yeah, they had a hope and a dream with the Bastion, but now with a little bit of a different approach as we take a look at our proper highlight, moving in, taking care of Merit here too. On top of this is the very start where we saw the Outlaws rocking the Bastion, and you continuously see proper not only taking care of so many of the Outlaws, but also right after that, he was able to quickly build up the Pulse Bomb and then land the Pulse Bomb right afterwards.
That was fun.
All right.
Did you? A little bit of music before we start here. Oh, yeah. I mean, Proper can definitely carry some team fights, and we've seen that plenty of times here from the San Francisco Shock. But look at this Houston Outlaws strat. This is not a new one. We've seen this before. We saw this last weekend, using the Symmetra and being able to sit right on top of Spawn to start getting some of that ultimate charge. But it looks like it's backfired just a little bit against the Houston Outlaws. Kaluj already working up 50% towards a Primal Rage. It continues to shine. And then Finn as well, just getting so much healing done.
Merit getting taken out and Lashor getting put to sleep. Like you mentioned, just diving into the front line of the spawn gives me Havana vibes, but now with Violet getting taken out, it's the first member of the Shock that actually have to worry, because Proper is popping off, and Kilo now is trying to claim another head, but Pelican was already off to the side, and right before the Shock now clean up around the Outlaws, they don't have any sustainability, so it's just going to be a hard reset from them.
But as that hard reset happens, San Francisco Shock are going to go ahead and start rounding this second corner with the payload. And, you know, Merit was able to leave a couple of turrets lying around there, but at least with the teleporter, Houston Outlaws are able to get back pretty quickly to point.
Big ante here from Finn. We got to highlight Finn, of course, being on the Ana there, finding both of the TPS, but the Immortality Field being called out from Iris as the Ant Matrix now is on board. Piggy gets taken down before he can even utilize the Shatter, and Kaluj is still pressuring the supports over to the side room here. Now trying to dive onto the payload. You see Pelican getting taken out on the other side of Kilo. They're holding a lot of these off angles, and it's really difficult for Outlaws to actually have any sort of momentum in their favor as the numbers dwindle.
It's so tough to get set up right now because Kaluj is a very, very aggressive main tank in terms of just being able to create space for the team, and that just constantly puts Houston Outlaws on the back foot here.
Oh, time to take a nap. No Shatter for you, Piggy. See what they do here? You can see the sim wall coming up. You see the patience, too, from Shock. They know when to take their fights. I like this disengage approach here as Proper now makes his move back in from the skies on the Echo. He's got the duplicate ready here, too. See what he can do against Piggy. They know that the Shatter's online, but Lashor's got the sound barrier to help them out.
Could really allow for the Houston Outlaws to have some sustain, maybe be able to get in there, but look at that purple!
Oh, this ante!
Oh my gosh!
Oh, huge there! Now the sound barrier doesn't catch on to Pelican. They're over to the side, but the Outlaws manage to sustain themselves. Kilo gets taken out here first, and Proper now is going to try to capitalize off of Piggy taking another nap here. These sleep darts just coming left or right from Finn. Not only the sleep darts, but a beautiful ante that we had seen onto the Outlaws.
That is absolutely huge, and that's just the power of having a valuable Ana on your team. Finn has just consistently been hitting these massive purples, and it's really allowed the San Francisco Shock to get in and just kind of clean up the Houston Outlaws. Holy cow, Burst on a rampage!
He's primaling. It's monkey madness here. Finished up that quest not too long ago, but what I love here is that Piggy getting hit with another anti, and then Kilo following things up with the help of Violet moving everybody into position there. Outlaws had the number advantage at the start of that fight, but because of that primal reset from Kalush, he was able to allow the Shock to move all the way back up.
Yeah, so much sustain. So much sustain, especially when you just get a chance to increase your health pool for that brief period of time. Kalush can play super, super aggressive there. And now, Pelican is really going to get something done with this Blizzard.
Welcome to the death zone. Welcome to being an ice cream sandwich. Pelican now is upset, and they take care of 3 from the Shock, only leaving 2 as Kilo's going to fall low. Kalush is going to want to back up if he has the opportunity, and he does manage to get away in time. Maybe going to try to tactic back Finn and Violet if he has the opportunity here. If he could get away, it doesn't look like he can. They see him, but he just manages to briefly get back to the safety hands of Finn and Violet.
Ooh, look at how far forward the Houston Outlaws are going to hold as well. Piggy doesn't want to give up any sort of mileage here to the San Francisco Shock. They really want to force them to use some resources, which is good, which is really good. Houston Outlaws kind of just need to buy as much time as possible. There's only 2 minutes left on the clock.
They also need to do something about Kilo, because you could see right here, Shock are really taking advantage of the verticality that this map provides here. And Kilo also being able to quickly get into position has allowed the Shock to continue on that extra pressure. See Finn trailing, he's got the Nano Boost ready. No Blade here online for Proper. Kilo's close to getting the Tac Visor, just like Proper is close to getting that Blade. But Piggy has been bullied on this Reinhardt pick, and even though he's got the Shatter, look how close the cart is right now to the final zone.
Can someone touch? Oh my god! Oh. Lastro! I think Lastro might be able to barely get there. Was that enough to proc it? No.
Nope.
Victory.
No.
Oh, Necro. We may have another quick 3-0 on our hands. And let me tell you, I would be surprised. Although my pick'ems would be happy, I was honestly expecting a little bit more from the Outlaws here. Because again, this is the opportunity for the San Francisco Shock to showcase what they could do against other teams that aren't just Paris and London here. So that was nice to see a nice mix-up coming in from the Houston Outlaws, but it seems like their trump card really has been revealed onto Dank Tank on the Doomfist, because that's really what it's been from Dante. But guys, don't go anywhere. The San Francisco Shock are at match point, and we are moving on to map number 3 on Midtown right after this short break.
know what friends are, but chat, I know you guys do, so maybe you can help out Carl. Carl is looking for friends. Share your fan art celebrating the teams you think will take home the win in the kickoff clash for a chance to be featured on the fan art gallery. You guys are great, so get your art in there. I want to see it. And I want to see the rest of this match because we have the third map for the San Francisco Shock versus the Houston Outlaws. And Dantank coming back in, Vicky.
Yes, that means that the Outlaws understand that their plans have been foiled. Mixing up what we had seen from Piggy just did not work out for the Houston Outlaws. So with Dante coming out, you already know what the San Francisco Shock are expecting. They're expecting that Doomfist to come in. And with us moving on to Midtown, one of our other new maps here, we got the triple new maps on board. And I love to see this here too from Overwatch 2. Not only is the music fire, but it just looks so nice in general. Also, I would totally beat Carl's friend here. So now that he's looking for friends, definitely got to follow up on Carl on that one. But we're getting ready for map number 3 here. Houston Outlaws, they definitely need to change things up here. Not too sure what they're going to expect with Dante still sticking onto the Doomfist. Maybe playing a little bit more passive here, Necro, because we've noted during the break, actually, that currently the San Francisco Shock, specifically Finn, has been really on top of those sleep darts onto Dante in general.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot with teams that opt to run the Doomfist. Doomfist can be a huge playmaker, being able to get very disruptive into the backline or just really stop teams from being able to set up. But Doomfist only works when you're awake and you're able to punch things. And so a lot of Doomfist 9 times out of 10 can just get stopped by a single sleep dart. And especially if you're playing against an Ana that is as proficient as Finn, Finn's got the Doomfist's number. It's the sleep dart, and then you're gonna go for the Bionade to really purple, and then just delete the Doomfist. And so Dante coming back in, we are expecting to see the Doomfist here as we do see Dante hovering over it in spawn. But the playstyle might have to change up a little bit, or you send somebody after Finn to potentially take the sleep dart before Dante goes in.
And I see, 9 out of 10 times, Necron, you'll miss your shots if you're sleeping. So hope Dante could avoid that situation. But Houston Outlaws are answering right back with Iris being on the Ana. So I'm interested to see how that's going to affect Kaluj, as Kaluj has been able to clear up a lot of that space just jumping in, but taking control over this high ground is going to be really useful here for the Outlaws. But I really like the way that Shocker are actually trying to play this a lot more passively here over to the side.
Yeah, the Houston Outlaws can just really make these nice rotations, and that's one of the reasons why I really like Midtown as a map. That point is pretty small, and it's a little difficult to actually access, but there's a lot of nice avenues for you to be able to rotate around and try to make it there. Dante, though, just playing as bait a little bit, but able to get back to his team. Ooh, playing it a little close.
Yes, dude, now just narrowly passing by Proper here too, as he's trying to clear up some space, but here comes those antis, here comes that sleep again. Dante may not be listening to us right now, but he is able to listen to Lastra, who manages to heal him back up, and so does Iris here. He does get to see another day, but you could tell here with the Shock playing passively, they didn't want to dive in onto Dante, they didn't want to open themselves up.
Ooh, look at that too. Finn just got really, really low, and the entire team had to back off a little bit, but now that they've given up 2/3 of the point, San Francisco Shock do want to try to get back in and contest, but Houston Outlaws, they're not giving up anything. They're going to be able to just cap the first point, unlock the payload.
Taking out that opportunity there too. You saw that with Proper and Kalush going down, that the Outlaws had the advantage, and so the Shock wanted to just go in for a soft reset here and try to take on to the high ground. That's going to overlook where this fire truck is going to be moving along.
Yeah, so the high ground is really important for the San Francisco Shock to be able to take. Ideally, if you're the Houston Outlaws, you'd like to be able to beat San Francisco Shock to that high ground, but at this point, Houston Outlaws, they capped that point already late for San Francisco Shock to be able to get back, and now you've got to fight the high ground from the car wash. It's going to be a little tough, but Houston Outlaws do have Pelican on that Echo to be able to try to find some angles.
I don't think he tried to aim the nano boost at Pelican there. I think he wanted to try to reset on that teammate that was falling really low from that pulse bomb here. But Pelican with the focusing beam does find Kaluj here. Now Kilo on the high ground has to give up that high ground here. The attack visor coming in, and Dante punching his way to find Finn. The Outlaws coming on top after that fight. After the Shock actually had a nice positional advantage over by that high ground that we were mentioning by the bridge. And look at Pelican's positioning. He's moving all the way up to clear up a lot of that space to fully take advantage of the duplicate.
May as well. I mean, duplicate right now, it's a little tough to be able to duplicate a tank because you're not getting the same type of value from that HP buff, but that DPS output can be very impactful. As you can see here from, all right, Violet's DPS.
Violet is really aggressive on the Lucio, and it's going to work even better for him on Overwatch 2. They traded initially right there, though, but Shock are able to come out, and the spawn is right here, too. So you're going to see that Violet is just going to taxi Finn right over to the payload.
This is such an awkward spot for this payload to be stopped as well, because now the Houston Outlaws, it's going to be really hard to get there without taking too much damage. You can see Merit actually just swapped over to the Reaper to allow for some more close quarter fights, especially when you're looking ahead. You're trying to think 2 steps ahead to that third objective. But let's see how they get this done.
Proper's head was rolling a little bit right there too, but he was able to just re-engage right afterwards. Dante gets put to sleep, and the pulse bomb to close it out to be the nail in the coffin. Violet did utilize that sound barrier here, maybe a little scared. Merritt trying to move in, and you saw Dante in position to try to get into an aggressive approach here, but Proper, no breaks here. He's going to hold forward, and they do know that they already were able to take care of Dante, so they have free reign over controlling this next corner.
San Francisco Shock are... Yeah, they've got this block on lockdown here. This is going to be so tough for the Houston Outlaws to be able to find a route of entry. Even with the nano boost, I mean, look at that!
Wow.
Finn, with a massive purple, continues to set the Houston Outlaws back. And that's just the power of a defensive Ana, is that Finn with these sight lines can just kind of start chucking bio nades at the Houston Outlaws and force them to have to take some time. Sub 2 minutes now. Vicky, it's gonna be tough if Houston Outlaws can't get any ults online.
Ooh, here you go, the nano boost, but Dante gets put to sleep, but somebody woke him up. He's tired of it. The meteor strike now. Trying to call out where he can just repossession on the high ground. He sees Kaluj actually in his back line, putting in pressure with the primal, but with Proper now finding Iris. Even though Iris already used up that nano boost, the Outlaws couldn't clear the space that they wanted with Dante actually moving forward. Instead, they're still dropping like flies. Proper is still fighting these pigs, and so is Kilo onto Pelican, which is perfect here because Pelican wants to take to the skies, but the Soldier, especially with attack visor online, it's going to make it really difficult for him.
Ground echo? Can we do that? Is that in the script? I'm not sure, but yeah, that tactical visor from Kilo is gonna make things really tough for Pelican. You can't really peek, and also I guess Dante is also down, so 1 minute remaining, Vicky. This is looking tough for the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, less than a minute now at this point, and at the moment, talked about how a little bit of an awkward spot that the payload stopped at. They have to spawn right here if you're looking at the Shock, and the Outlaws, they've been trying between the nano boost, between Dante using the meteor strike here, and the Shock have been taking these off angles, Necro, that make it so difficult for the Outlaws to not only take onto this higher ground, but even get through the car wash that's right below them.
Yeah, every angle, San Francisco Shock is looking down some type of direction.
Oh.
Houston Outlaws can't sneak it.
I love that anti coming in from Iris, though, and that's the reason why Finn and Violet fall down. Pelican with the follow-up on top of that. So finally, Houston Outlaws again. Better late than never. They're on their own time here, Necro. They get the payload to the checkpoint. They get some extra time to work with. And now they do note that with the spawn being right in front of them, Proper had done, or rather had backed off a little bit early, and so Pelican is going to be able to claim his head.
The train's coming though, Vicky. There's not a whole lot of time to jump on the train. Houston Outlaws have really got to get this thing rolling. They've got 1 minute and 20. That's really all that they get to add to their time bank here as they do unlock that second objective. And with Iris and the Nano, I think that could be really impactful. Maybe allow Dante to go in and get a bit more aggressive and try to bait out the sleep coming out from Finn. But Finn also has a Nano boost.
60 seconds.
It does have that nano boost, and that attack visor is coming up shortly. Gotta keep your eyes on Tequila, who's racking it up slowly, putting in a lot of pressure. Currently see it on board here. It is on Kilo. He's about to get the tag visor, but he may not even need it.
Ooh.
He's clearing up so much space. He finds Merit, who needs to back up now, taking a lot of that damage. Meanwhile, Pelican is holding onto the high ground, and the sound barrier on top of this is going to allow the San Francisco shot to get really aggressive. Dante, though, is going to retaliate as the Nano Boost was on top of him. He has a Meteor Strike to reset here, too. See where he's going to go, trying to creep back to the rest of his team. Just wants to go in for a reposition now. And I like the fact that the Shock have bought in that respect, but the time is wasted away now, Necro, with less than 20 seconds on the clock.
And Kalush is going to have a Primal Rage. Angry Monkey Michael Burr, especially with Dante and Lastro, they get so low. That Bionade was absolutely huge there from Finn, and now Kalush can go in and basically juggle people around in this small room.
Oh, but they had the sound barrier here from the Outlaws. A big ante, though, onto Lastro and Iris. Overtime ticking away. The Shocker backing up, though. And you can see Kilo, Kalush, and Finn going down. Again, this is always the Outlaws coming through where it matters. And it's when it's overtime that's putting in the pressure onto the Outlaws.
Oh, they just clutched that. That was impressive. Houston Outlaws, they really do want to bring us into extra maps. And that was an impressive performance by them, because I feel like San Francisco Shock have just kind of continued to keep the Houston Outlaws on lockdown. It's been really tough. We just saw how that second point went for the Houston Outlaws to make any sort of progress on the point. But when they finally were able to overcome that hurdle of unlocking that second checkpoint, they did it. Vicky, this is winnable.
They need this too, Necro, because if they do not at least manage to take a single map off of the San Francisco Shock, that would mean that the San Francisco Shock are still unbeatable. They would be up, what, 9-0 at that point? And
yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy to say, because it was really this matchup that a lot of people were looking at to see how the Houston Outlaws and their very left field composition was going to work out with Dante being on the Doom. But we could see that Finn, Kalush on top of it all, and Proper also taking these nice off angles, have made Dante's life a living hell.
It's been, yeah, I don't envy. I don't envy Dante's position right now. I wouldn't want to play Doomfist into Finn or Proper. No, don't think so. But Houston Outlaws are still making it work. And so when you take a look at them running the same composition on the defense, at least the Houston Outlaws can get set up here. Where I feel like Houston might run into some problems is if they get dislodged from this point, and then San Francisco Shock don't allow them to get set up again. I already feel we're gonna go into extra rounds for this map, Vicky. It's just whether or not Houston Outlaws can clutch out the defense here.
Especially with some of that extra time here. They've been trying to move up, and they're moving up quickly. Looking on the other side of the coin here, too, usually the combo was Pelican diving into where Dante was putting in that pressure, but Kilo also has not allowed Pelican to get set up. Look at this. Dante taking a lot of pressure while he tries to go for a reposition, but Merit answers back onto Kilo the moment he puts himself out in the open. Now Merit turning things around, and this is the Houston Outlaws that we like seeing. This is the momentum that they need right now. Even with the anti-landing, the Shock have to go for a hard reset.
What I like about Merit's playstyle on the Soldier as well is you can see that Merit knows when to move up, but also knows that he needs to leave more space. And so Merit is going to play just a little bit farther back, and that's really working out to make sure that Merit's picking up these kills, cleaning up the Shock, sending him back to spawn to try again. Pelican getting aggressive though now with the Nano.
Oh, you can see the follow-up too from Lastro on top of it all, and you're funneled into the line of sight of Iris. Dante gets taken out, but it's still the number advantage is in favor for the Houston Outlaws. Pelican trying to snipe him with the focusing beam, but look at this aggressive positioning from Mary here too. You're not gonna go anywhere Proper, and now Kalush may be the next one to fall.
Oh, does get away, so a lot of healing now. Never mind. Oh my god. I was gonna say that's so much charge being donated over to Finn and Violet. Kalush also gets sent back to spawn. That buys plenty of time for Dante to be able to get back and make this a true 5v5, as Kalush is also going to be walking back to the fight. But look at this. Houston Outlaws are rotating so well.
They're immediately contesting with them. It's crazy. The sound barrier, the nano boots on top of it. Kalush is taking a nap, but it's fine because Kilo's here to clear the space for the rest of the Shock. You see him putting in a lot of that pressure, but Pelican now going to answer right back. The visor being answered too from the Outlaws, and he gets immediately negated, not only with the duplicate getting booted, but Pelican having a lot of success on that here too. Houston Outlaws are going to be able to quickly reposition right after this, and I think Merit has woken up. He is immediately taking this retaliation attempt onto Kilo, and even with a different approach from the Shock here, Necra, no matter whether they go underneath the bridge or through the side, it has not worked out for them.
No. Look at how many ults they blew in that last fight, too. Vicky, that was 3. That was the Nano. That was the sound barrier. That was also the tactical visor. And now, with a minute remaining, it's going to be very difficult for San Francisco Shock to get those ults back online. It's going to be down to the Primal Rage and Proper's Pulse Bomb to try to get something done. At least you can dislodge Merit, but look at this rotation.
Oh, that's beautiful though from Kalusha. Actually force him off the high ground. You're trying to at least enable the rest of your team, but nice anti onto Violet is actually going to take him out on top of it. Kilo gets taken out, and all that extra effort you put into with the Primal to try to reposition Merit has gone down the drain. Now you have Finn over to the back line who can't get back to the team. It's going to have to be another reset with less than 30 seconds on the clock.
Kilo, last-ditch effort from the San Francisco Shock, giving up and going over to the Sombra. Is this the secret? Is this the secret sauce to really put this all together for the San Francisco Shock to just breach this first point? A big hack?
Ooh. I would have liked to see this a little earlier, but you can tell that the Sombra pick is actually working out. Kalusha also finding Ears is huge here, because that only leaves Violet up for the sustainability, and you don't have Violet with the sound barrier just yet. It's getting close, but overtime ticking away. See Shock taking a page out of the Outlaws' late book, and better late than never to try to get this fire truck moving.
Wow. That might have been able to do it. I mean, Dante's going to be able to come back in and contest, but it feels like you're just throwing bodies at the point.
I love this swap, Necro. I love it, and it worked out so quick for them. Meanwhile, look at the Outlaws' ult economy. They were able to build up this ult for this next choke point, especially close to that high ground here, but because they fell like dominoes, they may not have as much time that they want to try to set up. You could already know that Kalush is going to try to contest right up on the high ground too.
Yeah, you can see that, and also look, Kilo's getting in position to be able to farm up to that EMP. It's on its way. Houston Outlaws better be prepared for this.
Someone's creeping, someone's sleeping here, and the sound barrier on top of it from the Outlaws as Iris manages to narrowly get away. Here comes the EMP as Iris gets hacked not only again, but it's 2 that gets hacked, and Merit still had popped the visor beforehand. He takes out the rest of the Shock. It's only Kalush that had gotten taken out earlier on, but Merit now matching up to what we had seen earlier from Kilo, even before the Sombra switch.
Incredible stuff. Look at that. They are able to deal with the EMP, the sound barrier, the pulse bomb. Houston Outlaws right now, they're unbothered, they're moisturized, they're happy, they're in their lane, they're focused, they're flourishing right now. Vicky, this is the Houston Outlaws we wanted to see in this match.
And we're seeing it here too, now negating Kilo off the Sombra. Pelican finding him. Dante now is going to be able to have free reign knowing that he won't get hacked, but he's taking a lot of damage off to the back. It's Kalush with the Primal. Finn's going to shut him down with some help, and now Pelican is going to punish Kalush right afterwards. But you have less time, you have less than a minute now on top of it all, and Outlaws is still winning another fight.
They do have to back up a little bit, because they just want to make sure that everybody is there and they're also in position to be able to deal with some of this extra pressure. Now the San Francisco Shock is going to have to put into this next team fight with the nano boost available. 30 seconds remaining, and this is the last chance that San Francisco Shock has to reach the second checkpoint. And even if they win this team fight, Houston Outlaws should be able to come back and contest again one more time. Kalush is down!
That is not how you want to start off this last fight here. Kilo, though, all hopes on the table to get a lot from this visor. The nano visor on top of that here, too. He clears up the high ground. He clears up the car wash. Lastro gets taken out. The San Francisco Shock want to keep their clean record right now, but they need to get the payload to the finish line if they want that.
Oh, Iris has to back off, too. Iris should be able to get away with his life right now. You can see that he's just hiding, waiting for the rest of his team to get back. But this is what I was talking about. Vicky, now the Houston Outlaws can come back in. They've got the sound barrier available as well. And oh no!
Oh, That's huge here, but Pelican with an even bigger play. The sound barrier 2 coming in from Lastro to help Pelican make this play. Finn is not on board here for the shock. Proper manages to reset a little bit, but it's really only Violet here as the rest of the Outlaws get taken out of the point, or rather, sorry, the Outlaws manage to clear out the point. And with the shock now available there, Dante pushing Kalush off, manages to at least move on to another map here. No match points for the San Francisco Shock for map 3, but they still have the opportunity for map 4, Necra.
Wow, that's it though. San Francisco Shock lost their undefeated streak. I know it was only 2 matches, and I know it was only 8 maps up to this point, but Houston Outlaws getting it done.
First map that the San Francisco Shock used to, and it's to the Houston Outlaws. You love to see it, and you love to see a map 4 coming on board, guys. That's going to be after this break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Overwatch League. to match 2 of the Overwatch League, week 2 here, and the action has not stopped.
Nope.
Now we see map number 4 as we move on to Ilios, but so far I am enjoying the Houston Outlaws adapting around the San Francisco Shock, especially on Midtown. You could really tell that the Houston Outlaws had a lot of fun playing off of the high grounds that Midtown provides.
I don't know if fun is the right word that I would use for how the Houston Outlaws needed to play that third map in order to actually win and bring us to a map number 4. But yeah, also my dog is a big Overwatch fan. This is Archer.
Archer!
He really wanted to be in my arms, so here he is.
Aww. Priorities from Archer. Archer wants front row seats. I don't blame Archer one bit.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna have to be the third caster. We're gonna have to get a caster couch, and then we can also have the dog and like all the other Overwatch caster pets.
It'd be great to put like the headsets on all of our pets on the desk, and then just like have them sit down and take our jobs for us. That'd be I'd pay to see content like that, especially Fur Watch, you know. But I'll score myself out of here. Sorry, guys. Anyways, it's map number 4, San Francisco Shock, Houston Outlaws. They're getting ready. They're waiting on Dante, who maybe needed to get a quick bathroom break after that map 3 performance. They take 1 map over the San Francisco Shock, but the Shock are still sitting on match point here, Necra.
They are. I mean, San Francisco Shock have definitely earned themselves to be at that match point. But Houston Outlaws, I don't know what happened during that halftime break, but Vicky, it kind of looked like things just started to click for them when we went over to Midtown. The shot calling, very clean. You could see that Lastro was such a big part of being able to follow up and get some picks. Like those speed boosts were immaculate. And especially when it came down to when those sound barriers got used as well. They were really, really impactful. We talk about impactful Ana play, and Iris has definitely shown us that as well. But Lastro with the Lucio is also a very, very important part of that support duo, and you could see how much that mattered in Midtown to allow Houston Outlaws to not only complete the map, but also take a map off of the San Francisco Shock this early in the season.
Yeah, Shock, no more clean record for you. Sorry, but at least that's one. One in the pocket away from the Shock. But for the Houston Outlaws, this is great for them here because they can take map 3 and try to run with it, try to build up that momentum as we move on to Ilios. And this is going to be interesting. We were talking a little about it in the break, Necra, and we saw Merit really come alive. Pelican, though, I'm worried here because we've been seeing a lot of sleeps from Finn. And with the San Francisco Shock constantly on top of those antis and on those sleeps, if you be hanging out on top of that well there, you have another thing coming for you if you get slept right above it.
Oh, no. Vicky,
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking ahead.
Why did you speak that into existence? That's not okay.
I'm scared.
Gosh.
I'm scared for Pelican and Proper. It could go either way here. I just see that Finn has really been on top of those sleeves.
What about Dante or Kaluge either? Could you just imagine either of them getting slept and then just they fall into the well? You know what? We'll have a counter. You and I will have a counter and see how many times it happens, if at all. But let's take a look at the Houston Outlaws and the San Francisco Shock now posturing around this objective as they wait for it to unlock. And right now, San Francisco Shock just going to go ahead and take some cover as the Houston Outlaws do the same on the other side of the well. Just kind of waiting for someone to go first. Looks like it's going to be the Houston Outlaws to try to touch point. They can actually cap here.
Yeah, you saw Dante also moving up ahead a little bit here. Merit still continuing on the pressure from afar. Merit has been so wonderful to watch, even on map number 3, taking onto the high ground. But now, as we move on to map number 4, and the Outlaws already taking the advantage, the Shock were trying to disengage, but Finn can't run away from Pelican like that. Focusing him down, and Merit is trying to run away, but he's got the healing field for himself, just in case. But Proper with the sticky bombs aren't going to let that happen now. They trade that, and with the Shock having a bit of an advantage here, they do still want to wait here, potentially for Kilo and for Kaluge to actually heal up a bit more.
San Francisco Shock, they're gonna try to have to figure something out. I mean, the way that Houston Outlaws are playing, this is looking good for them. Dante does take a little bit of a sleep.
He got deleted.
Oh, the purple, and then the sticky bombs on top of that. Yeah, Dante's gonna go down here. And now Houston Outlaws have to back off.
actually got melted right there too. And you see Finn with the nano boost on board. They're not going to waste it right now because they knew that the Outlaws were going to respect that after losing out on Dante and especially on Lastro. But they'll be able to move back in, Necker, with some ultimates of their own.
Absolutely. Basically a full slate if you're looking at the Houston Outlaws. Oh, no. Vicky, it's about to be an old fiesta. Take a look at the San Francisco Shock 2. There's answers upon answers for any game plan that either of these teams is going to throw at the other one. Looks like it's Iris and Finn, though, to kick things off with those nanos.
Dante's trying to get away. He's trying to actually find some sort of safety. He's literally the epitome of one. Pelican, though, can't get out of the line of sight of Kilo as Mirror tried to do the same thing, though. And with Pelican getting taken out and no duplicate being on board, the Shock now know that they have a bit of an advantage here.
It's 2 for 2, though. Iris and Merit, Kilo and Finn, they both use the nanos and they both use the tactical visors. So everything else is still on the table. A lot of agency, though, going to the San Francisco Shock with these antis, though.
Ooh, a barrier for barrier, but that wasn't going to be enough for Finn. He gets deleted here, too. Iris making a statement, but is going to get retaliated back from Proper now. I love the duplicates that we're seeing from Proper. You're going to be able to get a lot out of that after Kilo even gets taken out, but it's okay because they're going to maintain their aggression on the point, and they're also going to be able to contain their control here, too.
A lot of ultimates being used. Now both banks are empty. Gonna have to start building up that 401k again for both of these teams, but there's not much time to do so. So this is gonna have to be an all-out brawl for this final, potentially final fight, as San Francisco Shock are approaching that checkpoint. Merit actually switches over to the Tracer, trying to get some huge and heavy pick potential on the board here for the Houston Outlaws.
This is crazy. I wonder how this is going to work out, especially with Proper really popping off from that last duplicate that we had seen here. It means that no tac visor, no soldier. Overtime, though, ticking away here for the Shock. Kaluj is taking a little bit of a nap, and so is Dante, though. Both of them will be well rested once they wake up. Dante backing up a little bit, though, after taking some pressure. And look at the skirmish and respect that we are seeing from both these teams. None of these teams not wanting to fully commit, but they did let the Outlaws turn the point.
They have to play patiently here. I think that's the name of the game for both of these teams when you've got the honors that you do, but whew, Dante.
Make way,
Okay.
wake way. He is going through punch. And you can see Dante now is going to be able to help clear that point and still maintain control over here. The back off, though, immediately, knowing that Kaluj actually wants to go in from the side. So Kaluj and Dante are going to meet up shortly while Finn makes his way from the spawn.
Eurus does also, though, actually. Both Annas just went down in that fight, but Finn is coming back with a nano.
Oh, that's the difference here. You got the tac visor, you get Kilo now trying to contest the backline. He's found Iris. You have nowhere to run once you post your head over to the side. Dante here, too, as he gets taken out by Violet, as we've mentioned, getting so aggressive. He jumps right over the well. Twinkle Toes as he heals up, and Pelican gets taken down, too. What a dominating takeover for this fight, and the amazing follow-up and pressure coming in from Kilo.
Such a close round, though.
Yeah.
And the 195, I mean, this is exactly what we want, is this massive showdown. Houston Outlaws got very, very close to being able to cap that round, but we still have potentially 2 more. See if the Houston Outlaws can climb their way back into this series and bring us to a 2-2 scoreline. But we're heading over to Lighthouse. I want to see more Tracer here from the Houston Outlaws. We're probably going to see more Soldier. I want to take a look at this, though. Proper. Oh, my gosh. Oh, also being able to duplicate the Doomfist also. Yeah, that was nuts. I mean, you can still duplicate tanks. It's still going to be very, very impactful.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're playing Tiny Overwatch. That's nice for a Doomfist. I think they like that. But similar comps from both of these teams. They're actually just going to go toe-to-toe with each other, except for, of course, the Winston versus the Doomfist. But it's working out for both of them, though. They have very different styles of play when you put these main tank differences on the table.
Yeah, it's really about opening things up for allowing Proper to even get both supports with a focusing beam. Are you kidding me? They were so low already, but that's what you were talking about before, Necra. Kaluj allowed Proper to get into position right there, and then Kilo could actually hold the high ground over to the side if he wants to put on some of that safe pressure while being out of sight from the Outlaws. So I really like this look from the Shock here.
Well, that's the power of the Echo. That focusing beam does more damage if that target is below half. And so if you have the San Francisco Shock starting to soften up the targets on the Houston Outlaws, then yeah, Proper's gonna microwave them down out of existence.
Oh, wow, and it's still going in. Now Finn finding Pelican instead, but they trade that for Kilo. He was called out by Dante, who's still hanging out over to the side. Mirror actually trying to follow up, gets Finn this time around. And now the Shock down Finn with just Violet to try to help sustain. They trade that though for a support, and Dante is still holding that next corner. He's still cleaning hits. That's 3 that he was able to take down before he falls himself to Kilo as he made his way back.
I think you're okay with that trade if you're Dante.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're all right with that. I mean, Dante does have to kind of sacrifice himself for the greater good of the Houston Outlaws in that particular scenario, but it does get Houston Outlaws the point. They can start racking up percentage, and they've got to keep control now. Houston Outlaws play best when they have control of the point, and now you can see how they're going to use that confidence to really set up to deal with San Francisco Shock coming back in.
Ooh, nano boost though onto Dante. Now you see Kalush gets deleted after that here too. Iris with a nice pickoff to help him out on top of it all, but you see the Shock aren't even going to contest here. They're just going to give this space and time over to the Outlaws, and that's okay because they know that they have the advantage when you see that they're at 53%.
They can be patient, and they can wait for those ultimates to come online. As long as San Francisco Shock doesn't lose anybody in this next fight, I mean, Kilo did just get a little bit low from the anti. There's a lot of ults here that the San Francisco Shock can use.
Oh, Lastro dipped so quick, or else he would have been put into the line of sight of Kilo, but Mira answered right back with the visor himself, and then Dante tried to contest and help Kilo for the support lineup here. Dante has been on fire here on Lighthouse, and this is what I was expecting from the Doomfist here.
You talk about peel, and that's not something that we expected to see a whole lot of in Overwatch 2, especially with the removal of that secondary tank role. You don't have your off tank anymore to peel for you, but you still have your main tank. And so I love that you bring that up because Dante has absolutely been keeping the rest of the Houston Outlaws safe. Tank in the way of leading the charge, but tank in the way of also being able to lead the team. And, you know, taking a little bit of a nap now, but we'll wake up soon.
That was an amazing reaction, though, from the sound barrier from Lancer after Dante got put to sleep, and hearing the duplicate coming in from Proper as he gets booted out of the duplicate. He doesn't get the same type of heals like he would have before when he were to duplicate a tank, and now the Outlaws are still coming out on top. Look at Pelican on fire, though. He has not been contested after taking care of 10 members of Shock with that 10-player kill streak, and nobody from the Shock could contest here on that second point.
Couldn't get back in time. Good stuff from the Houston Outlaws. That wasn't as close. 100 to 53. And that's what we were talking about. Houston Outlaws play best when they have control of the point. They use that to their advantage a lot, especially when that point plays a little differently, where you don't have so many different avenues to be able to touch the point. You're just looking at really main and then the rooms. That's kind of it. But after, you know, taking a little bit of a brief snooze, though, Dante with some really nice uppercuts and some nice side swipes there, able to continue to just be the glue for the Houston Outlaws to make some of these big plays happen. They can stick to some pretty similar things, though. I want to see more Dante. Let's go.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a big fan here. And I really like the way that the Outlaws have really reversed and put this back into their advantage, because you can only imagine how the Shock is trying to change things up a little bit here. Change up a little bit of approach to try to focus out Dante, like right there. Love the follow-up between Kilo and Proper to allow Kalush to actually create some of that space with Dome. Now you can currently see a nice anti-2. Pelican's going to be able to restabilize, but the Outlaws aren't going to be able to take this point first.
Yeah, there's been a lot of damage traded back and forth, but take a look at Proper. Already 50% towards the first pulse bomb of this round. So Proper's putting in some heavy lifting in the back line of the Houston Outlaws. I mean, look at how pressured Pelican and Merit really are at the moment, and you gotta wait for everybody to be healthy before you can really start to move back in. You don't want to blow all of your resources before you're able to make an engagement.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And he gets a stick on top of it. He denies the health pack from Dante. He gets the stick onto Merit, and he's still going. He's still still terrorizing the Houston Outlaws. They all got wiped out, and Dante just finally came back from the spawn. What a play there from Proper.
Oh, look at how much time that really afforded to the San Francisco Shock also. Almost 50% capture progress on this point, and that's because of how much work Proper has been putting in with the rest of the team. The Houston Outlaws have to take too much time. Look at how much healing Iris and Lastro have to do before they're really able to go in and make a play.
They haven't even been able to inch a toe onto the point, but this may be their opportunity with the nano boost. Dante gets put to sleep, so it's going to waste away some of that time now instead. Pelican does get the focus beam onto Finn, though, the moment that Finn was focused on trying to put him to sleep. And now the Outlaws finally have the opportunity to flip this point once to take care of Kalush.
I love the Merit swap over to the Reaper. I think that has really allowed the Houston Outlaws to get just a touch more aggressive, especially because Merit has that self-sustainability aspect. You don't necessarily have to wait for Merit in particular to be at full health, because you're going to get so much of that back with that lifesteal mechanic on Reaper. But Proper, another pulse bomb at the ready. Houston Outlaws, they've really got one chance at this. They don't want the Shock to take back control.
And the moment that Proper was booted out, you could see, even to try to help him out, Kalush is right there. He's got the peel. Proper has the sticky bomb ready. See Kalush now going to swipe away at the Outlaws after the sound barrier was called in from Lastro. But Dante's going to reset with the Meteor Strike. He gets onto the high ground. Kalush can't even chase after him. He's in the line of sight of the rest of the Outlaws. You see Finn trying to keep him up and sustain, but there's only so much Finn can do while putting himself out of position at the same time. Now Pelican with the duplicate to retaliate. We saw what Pelican did before, and now he's going to try to do it again on Runes. He's going to get right back to the rest of the Outlaws, but that created so much space and time for the Outlaws to try to match with the Shock's control.
Yes, it did. Oh, Dante gets very, very low. Going down here could spell disaster for the Houston Outlaws, but a nice heal back up. Iris is rewarded with the nano boost, and now it's... terror is about to break loose here, Vicky.
The sound barrier to at least try to keep him up in the game, and Kilo now trying to actually fight back. He gets two here. He didn't even use attack visor at the same time, but Dante has been a terrible, nobody to help him out. That's going to be Kilo, and the rest of Shock finally getting control over the point once again.
Oh, man. Now it's final fight territory. San Francisco Shock have control of the point. They've got that nano tactical visor combo up and online. If Houston Outlaws can't dislodge Kilo from an angle, this could be over.
Tick, tick, tick. 5 more seconds here. Shock are going to be able to maintain their aggression on the point. Outlaws need a contest. Overtime now, taking away, and you can see Finn's positioning right now. He's got the nano boost, and now you're going to let Kilo go crazy with the tac visor. He has the high ground. They're going to control so much space to stop the Outlaws from pushing onto this point. Pelican, Dante, nobody left other than Lastro to maybe desperately try to clutch into the ground. Merit's got the ult, but with an anti, you're going to get taken down immediately. The Shock now find themselves taking another series here.
It looked so good for the Houston Outlaws, especially after that halfway point, but the San Francisco Shock, they weren't about to let a team take another map off of them.
No perfect record, though, this time around, Necro. They still lost the map at the very least.
Yeah,
but the Shock are looking so good.
They really are. I mean, hey, taking a map off of the Shock is something that the Houston Outlaws can be proud of, especially because this is, again, one of those matches we were looking at and saying, we might very well be able to use this as a litmus test for what the rest of the season holds. San Francisco Shock, you know, the Houston Outlaws are an incredibly worthy opponent. We got a chance to see that in last weekend, and so seeing these two teams go head-to-head, this is definitely one of the best matches so far. But gotta give so many props to Finn on the San Francisco Shock as your player of the match.
Yeah, Finn went absolutely crazy with not only those sleep darts, those huge antis to contest Dante, which was super important because my biggest question going into the series, Necker, was can Kalush Winston do really well against a Doomfist like Dante? And Finn really helped enable Kalush here, not only with the sleeps, but also when we saw the Outlaws try different things going into map 2, we saw Finn at the front, constantly contesting them, not only wrapping around those corners, but with some of these sleep darts, it really negated a lot lot of the ult potential that we could have seen from the Outlaws.
Yeah, I mean, Sleep Dart success rate, 55%.
Wow.
Pretty good. You just got to look at some of these stats and go, wow, like, you know, Finn is just a really fantastic Ana. I know we shouted some of his praises last weekend, but it really is on a lot of these supports to keep making big plays happen. And yeah, Finn absolutely deserves that.
I love it. I love what I'm seeing from the Shock, and I want to continue to see their domination here after taking another series in the pocket. Yeah, it's not a clean record like we saw week 1, but still, 3-1, we absolutely would take that, only falling from one map in comparison to what the progress they've made, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to be match number 2 in the books. Don't go anywhere, though. We still got some more Overwatch League action on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined by Finn from San Francisco Shock. Hi, Finn. Congratulations on the win. 핀 선수 인터뷰 해주셔서 너무 감사드리면서 오늘 승리 너무나 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
All right, Finn says thank you. All right, let's jump into the interview. So I want to ask you about Houston Outlaws. You know, coming out of week 1, they had a really good showing. So I want to get your thoughts on Houston Outlaws and what were your expectations going into today's match against them. 첫 번째 질문은 일단 저번 주에 휴스턴이 생각보다 되게 좋은 성적, 괜찮은 성적을 낸 다음에 이제 오늘 경기를 센쇼과의 경기가 있었는데 핀 선수가 개인적으로 보시기에 휴스턴 팀은 좀 어떤 팀이라고 예상을 하셨는지 그리고 또 오늘 경기에 들어오면서 좀 오늘 경기가 좀 어떻게 흘러갈 거라고 예상을 좀 하셨나요?
처음에 저번 주 댈러스 대 휴스턴 경기를 보고 휴스턴이 일단 둠피를 많이 쓴다? 그리고 이제 제가 둠피 쓰는 거 알고 이제 팀원들한테 말했죠. 이제 둠피스트 많이 쓰니까 그냥 내가 재울게 하고 재우면 이기겠다. 그래가지고 그냥 말해가지고 많이 재워서 또 이긴 것 같아요.
Alright, so I mean, against the Houston Outlaws today, I did watch their match against the Dallas Fuel last week, and I noticed that Houston Outlaws were relying really heavily on that Doomfist composition, and Dante was playing a lot of Doom. So when I saw that, I told my teammates that you know, they are probably going to use Doomfist a lot against us when we play them. So I'm just gonna try my best to land as many sleep darts as possible, and I think I did that pretty well, and I think that's how we got the win. What were your expectations of today's match then? Did you think that it was going to be an easy win, or did you think it was going to be more difficult than the match that we saw? What were your thoughts on it? 그리고 죄송해요. 얼쏘리 영어가 나왔네요. 죄송합니다. 그 경기에 대해서 좀 여쭤보고 싶어요. 오늘 좀 이렇게 경기가 쉬울 거라고 좀 예상을 하셨나요? 아니면 좀 더 어려울 거라고 좀 예상을 하셨나요?
그냥 솔직히 말해서 그냥 제가 잘 재우면 쉽고 못 재우면 좀 어렵겠다. 라고 생각해가지고 이제 좀 집중을 좀 많이 한 것 같아요, 제가.
Alright. I mean, I did have to really focus hard because I think it really came down to me. If I landed a lot of sleeps and if I slept the enemies well, then that meant it's going to be an easy game. If I didn't, if I missed a lot of shots, that means it was going to be a more difficult match. All right, another question, and this was actually requested by Finn. Finn wanted me to ask this question because he's actually studying English really, really hard right now. So I'm going to ask this question and he's going to answer in English. All right. 자, 이번 질문은 방금 핀 선수가 요청하셨던 질문 영어로 파이팅 하시길 바랍니다. All right. How did you guys win today?
I think first we have good coaches and good teammates, and second we practice a lot every day, so a lot, and so I'm proud of my team, really.
좋은 감독님들과 또 연습을 많이 해서 오늘 승리를 거두셨다고 합니다. Alright, that was a little Korean, English to Korean. Alright, Finn, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you so much for the interview, and again, congratulations. 자, 오늘 승리 다시 한번 축하드리면서 보내드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for that interview. No, it was very insightful.
I'm trying to think of something. That is Finn.
Okay, listen, I know no one watching has fun with this, but we're having a great old time, and that's all that matters. I know someone who would give us a look right now, and that's probably Reinforce. So let's hand it over to our grumpy coworker for some insight on the game we actually get to see. Reinforce, what are your thoughts? We did see Dante coming in at map number 1. He was shut down on that Doomfist. Map number 2, they swapped in Piggy. Didn't work out, so they went back to that Dante Doom, and then he really turned it up. So, based on that match, was Piggy the answer or not really? Also, why did you not enjoy our journey? You don't look impressed. I'm a little disappointed.
I mean, I was going to tell you when this segment was finished that I really appreciated it, but you didn't give me the chance.
Nice.
So, I don't know. I would have loved it. If I was there, Zoe, I would have laughed. I promise you, I would have laughed. So don't make me.
No, you would not have. Let's be honest, you wouldn't have.
Yes, I would. Come on, Danny.
Yeah.
No, you guys are being rude. All right, I'll just go back to talking about the game because that's what I do best. I'm not. My co-workers are not really, letting me have this one now. They're not being nice to me at this point. This was an incredibly high-level game, in my opinion. I really enjoyed watching all maps because it really was a battle of the compositions. We know going into this match that Dante would rely a lot on this Doomfist if he was to play in the tank role. And what was very surprising to me was how seamlessly Shock actually dealt with it to start off this series. I think that, of course, starting out on the initial map, it isn't the most Doomfist-friendly map because there are so many great flanks, and Shock really utilized that. We also saw some interesting compositions come out from the Houston Outlaws here on Circuit Royale, opting for the Bastion at first, rolling out in spawn. And it was only really here on Midtown that Houston Outlaws were able to put up a fight, relying on this Doomfist, because Doomfist is a very unidirectional kind of pick, As a tank, you only really move in one direction, and that is forward. So on a map like Midtown, where it is kind of close ranged, of course, there are not like many huge sight lines on this map, and there aren't a ton of like great flanks. You can operate in a very single direction kind of engage. And the Houston Outlaws really put the pressure on the San Francisco Shock, and they were forced to swap to the Sombra. It didn't really work out from the Shock, even though I think the idea was there with the Sombra. And so you have to give the Houston Outlaws some credit, but stepping back, big picture here, I think the San Francisco Shock showed incredible level of play, both mechanically here proper on the Echo, the Tracer throughout the entire match, but also the rotations and the understanding of the game. Finn, we already talked with him how well he played on the Ana. It was a really entertaining match, in my opinion.
I mean, every second sentence from Danny was just that proper guy. That proper guy, though.
It's crazy. He could be the MVP. I'm not kidding. He's a rookie.
You know what? I believe that now. I think he could be the new Alarm Rookie of the Year this year.
Can we have an Alarm Rookie of the Year who also gets the MVP? Like, can you have both?
I don't know. This might, if you can, then I think this might be the first year that Proper does it.
Be the one to grab
so good on every.
We do say that in week number 2, day 1. So let's calm down, everyone. But no, this was a fantastic showing for the San Francisco Shock. Reinforce, would you, looking back at that match, do you think this was indeed the first real test for the San Francisco Shock? Do we have a real idea of their strength now?
Yeah, I think so, because they showed such high level of play when it came to their rotations and how they actually dealt with the Doomfist. When you play against some of the lesser teams, like, you don't necessarily have to pull out the best level of play. In some cases, you can find an early pick, and you're just like, well, we found an early pick, we're 5-4, we're just gonna steam our way through this entire map and win that way. I think versus the Houston Outlaws, they really had to dig deep when it came to like how they wanted to execute on the game plan in this map, how they navigated those flanks and how they shut down the Houston Outlaws. For example, Merrick